cracked my radiator, y'all. And I asked the question, how much is it gonna be to fix that, Mr. Mechanic? And he said, that's gonna be about $1,000, bruh. And I said, shit. So I need to save some money in a hurry, and I'm gonna show you how we do it. But how are we gonna put together this cracked radiator country boy chicken and rice bowl? Well, we're gonna start with the star of this show, the 10-pound bag of chicken leg quarters. I took the legs off, I soaked them in some RO water. We're gonna let those simmer about the same time in the stew as the potatoes and carrots. So I took the thighs off and I simmered them for about an hour, hour and a half. I wasn't really watching. I just simmered them long enough to get them cooked all the way through. Put them in the cooler to cool. That fat comes up to the top once it gets cold. And we're actually gonna scrape all that off. Use some of these Vidalia onions and a little bit of flour to make a roux to thicken the stew up. This is a really easy recipe, no frills. We're not gonna measure anything. We're gonna cook everything we bought. So I've got the 3-pound bag of Vidalia onions, that was $4. I've got a 5-pound bag of red beet potatoes, that was $4. Carrots are about $2. I figure when I get to the end of this pot of stew, I'm gonna have to cook 2 batches of rice. This is basmati rice, so that's gonna put me at about another $4. This here is about the cheapest chicken flavoring you can get. It's equivalent to the bouillon you buy in the store. There's about 4 tablespoons in there, and that brings it up to about $2. Don't get me wrong, we're gonna get some fresh made chicken taste out of this fat and then the broth underneath. But this is just gonna kick it up a little bit, and it's basically chicken flavored salt. So when I totaled everything up, I got about $21 in my shopping list, and my goal is to get 30 of these portions out of that. So 21 divided by 30, that's gonna put it at about 70 cents a portion for a really filling bowl of stew. I think that's a pretty damn good price. And all right, so let's get to cooking. All right, y'all see I don't have a cameraman, right? So you're just gonna have to absorb the knowledge while you look at my fantastic Magneto shirt. Now, let me talk to you about vegetables, or as Mr. Oker used to call them, vegetables. These are just red beet potatoes. Like I said, it cost about $4 for the 5-pound bag. It's a pretty good deal. And when I peel them, I pretty much want them to look like this when they're done. Basically, I just do like a lazy peel. I'll find everywhere where they have these little knots, and I'll just kind of shave off most of those because, you know, if you hang on to them, that's kind of where the roots will start to grow, and that's where the dirt gathers. So we're going to just kind of lazily peel those and get rid of them. But I want to save as much of the skin as I can. So once you get it looking to about like this, where those little pits that the roots grow on, once they're gone, just cut the rest of the damn thing up. All right, and we're just gonna try and keep everything the same size, so where it cooks the same way. So I'll knock these potatoes into pieces about like so. It's about a 3/4 inch dice, and then I'm gonna knock the carrots into something that's just a comparable weight. You know, you want everything to cook around the same time. So as we go up the carrot, the cuts are going to get shorter. Now, you can see I've peeled the carrot all the way. I've also rinsed everything. That's pretty important, especially when you're buying the lower cost vegetables. You know, let's face it, most of that stuff is HO in Mexico. You got to rinse it or you're going to get Montezuma's revenge. All right? So that's how I'm doing the potatoes and carrots. And then for the onions, I told you I'm doing the onions 2 ways basically. We're going to have some, most of it's going to go in the stew. So with those, I'm just going to basically split them down the middle, split them down the middle again, and that's it. They're done. Those are going to be the big rustic pieces that are floating around in the stew. However, I'm also going to, when I make my roux, I'm going to make a Vidalia onion roux, and I want to do kind of a fine dice on that. So I just kind of wanted to bring you up to speed on, you know, how I approach the fine dice. There's a lot of people that'll keep the hub on it and like hold that's fine, but I don't do it that way. I'll knock both hubs off and then just go straight down the sides while holding it together with my knife and my thumb and middle finger on either side of the product. So I'm gonna finish slicing down, and then I'm just gonna really quick go in on the side and then straighten out, getting that fine dice, and then we're going to lay it down once it gets too unstable to hold up and finish dicing it. Get every bit of onion in there. So that's going in the roux, that's going in the stew. I feel like I should be wrapping right now, but I'm going to go ahead and just end it before that happens. All right, y'all, as we continue with the cracked radiator chicken and rice bowl, I skimmed all the fat off the top of those thighs that we boiled, and there's not really a easy way to get all the fat off of it without getting a little broth in there. So I just got this on low. I'm just trying to evaporate any of the water out of it, because water's pretty much the number one enemy of making a roux anything darker than white. So we're just going to get the liquid out of it, and I'm going to put the onions and the flour in after that. Now over here, I've got about 3 quarts of water, and I've already started to take some of that chicken out. Basically, we're going to take the skin off of it. We're going to take all the bones and connective tissue and whatnot. We just want boneless, usable yield. So, I mean, rather than me tell you the composition of a chicken thigh, just, feel through it. Just, use your fingers and make sure there's no bones in there. All right, we'll check back. All right, y'all, jumping back in real quick. Just about all of the moisture is out of that chicken fat. So we're gonna go in with our fine diced onions. Okay. And then I've got over here, all of that picked chicken is simmering inside of about 3 quarts of water that I put in there, and then I'm also going to add all of that yummy goodness, that chicken broth that we got from those thighs. It's going to be good and cheap. Oh yeah, one more thing. Since we already got a simmer going on this chicken, it's time for, look at all those potatoes and carrots. That's $8 you're looking at in there. All right, straight in. All right. All right, see you in a minute. All right, so the onions are coming along nicely. This is all the chicken fat that we got from boiling up those thighs. As soon as they start to brown and get most of the water out of them, I'm going to go in with 1 cup of flour. That's going to be our roux. Also, I've got the vegetables cooking in that the 3 quarts of water that we put in over the chicken thighs. Also, we're going to go ahead and add the 4 tablespoons of chicken soup base. That's going to put a bunch of salt in it and get it to boiling quicker. And we're also going to put in the stock. So check back. All right, you can see the roux's getting darker. I got it gathered towards the back of the pan because it's that's where the burner is, So it's gathered towards the back of Big Ugly. It's still getting brown. And we got everything simmering in that water, all the vegetables. I put the drumsticks in there, the boneless chicken thighs. So all that's just simmering and getting all sexy. And then we got our basmati rice almost done in the rice cooker over there. So we're on our way. We're about to have 30 portions of an awesome meal for cheap. All right, I can't be too loud because we're watching Blacklist. Onions going in. Everything's really close to being cooked, so I'm just putting the onions in so they don't overcook. And then we're gonna go back to watching Blacklist. It's really good. All right, the roux is to a nice tan that I was looking for. The onions have been cooking in the soup; they're starting to get soft. But what I'm doing, I'm kind of changing gears a second. I'm going to add this roux and start to thicken it up. But because Big Ugly, the pan is so big, I reserved some of the soup, just as much liquid as I can get without too many solids. But I'm going to get the roux out of there and then get the pan heated up again. And I'm going to use that liquid to pull out the rest of all the roux from Big Ugly. After I'm done scraping the pan, there's still a little bit of roux left. So if you care enough to save it, you reserve a little bit of the soup from the pot, just the liquid, and just use that. It's a metal pan, so use a metal spoon. I'm just going to use that to kind of absorb all the goodness. Get that last little bit of roux out of the pan and into the stew, which is coming along nicely if I do say so myself. There it is, y'all. Put the roux in. It's cooked down and thickened up. The potatoes and carrots are cooked all the way through. Don't be scared to go back at it with some salt and pepper, or at least a little bit more salt. As those potatoes get cooked, they're going to absorb all the salt, and it's going to come out a little bit bland if you don't re-season it. So what I've done before the legs start to shred, I take them out and just hold them to the side before I serve them, because basically if you let them cook all the way out, you're going to have the equivalent of what are fish pin bones floating through your soup, and that's not good. So we're going to plate up. Basmati rice is done in the cooker. Put that to one side of the bowl. We're going to stir it up to make sure there's like kind of an even distribution of the shredded chicken, potatoes, and carrots. And of course those Vidalia onions that are in there. Look at that. Put a little bit more liquid in there. Now, that's a portion. And I'm pretty sure I can get 29 more out of this pot with one more batch of rice. So that puts us at where we first set out, at 70 cents per portion.